with Ina Richards. She's the founder of Work for a Living. Ina is one of my favorite people when it comes to social upliftment and social justice. I've really learned so much from you, Ina. You've inspired me to stay in this industry and keep doing what I'm doing. I think you have such integrity and speak with such honesty. It breaks barriers and really has opened up a world of different ideas in the skills development area. And I think that is also translated into business development, and we'll speak a bit more about that. But Work for a Living is a skill development program. We went on a journey a couple of years ago with Father's House when we were going to start up a barista academy. But having spoken to Ina first, her thoughts really shifted our thinking, and we ended up putting a pause on our academy until we got our Work for a Living center up and running. What I really loved about the Work for a Living program is how it challenges the poverty mindset and people's worldview. So I think this is the part that really impacts people's lives and makes the difference before we give them a skill set. I think it's not necessarily good enough just to give them a skill set. So yeah, I think we've all heard the term poverty mindset in our lives, but Ina, you have a deeper understanding of what that is, and I'd love to unpack that a little bit with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan. And of course, the feeling is mutual. It's been a journey that we've walked over the years. Yeah, I think with regard to the poverty mindset, it's certainly been a journey for us as well. We started 13 years ago, really wanting to help people frustrated by the fact that there was poverty, and frustrated and heartbroken really for the way people are living. And we thought, okay, well, let's do something, and we did what most people do. We listened to the dialogue of the day, and the problem is shortage of jobs, and the problem is lack of funding for business. And that's really what we did. We said, okay, well, let's get people jobs and let's get funding for business. And we failed. I wouldn't say we failed, but it was average. We had an average impact. And we started saying, but what is it? Why is it that we've got people given all the opportunities? People are given resources. People are upskilled. People are given job opportunities. People are given business opportunities, and we're not turning our nation around. And we started investigating and reading up and learning about this concept of the poverty mindset. And the way we've conceptualized it is probably not an educational, it's probably not correct education from an educational perspective, but it's what we've learned over the years. And the poverty mindset says, I'm poor, I'll always be poor, I can't change. Whatever caused that, of course, our past, our historical past, parents, education to an extent, but the poverty mindset says, I am not able to. Even if somebody helps me. So the danger of the poverty mindset is we don't even know that we've got it, because people are given an opportunity, they do nothing with it, but the poverty is external to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think that's the thing that's so crippling when it comes to the poverty mindset is, and I've seen it and experienced it in some of the classes that we've taught through Work for a Living, and that there's this attitude sometimes that it's normal and okay to sit around and do nothing. And that almost speaks to exactly to what you're saying, where there's this hopelessness of I am poor, so therefore I'll always be poor.
Absolutely. And I really believe that if the rhetoric around you, if everybody around you is saying there's nothing, so the politicians are telling us there's nothing, our educators are telling us there's nothing, even some of our churches are telling us there's no opportunity for you, shame, life is hard, trust the Lord, because life is hopeless. Well, then you're going to believe it. You're going to believe that there's nothing. Our view right now is, hey man, okay, obviously with COVID-19 it's a bit different, but up till now there are so many opportunities, and even now with what we've been busy with in the last while, there are so many opportunities. I mean, we've seen in Port Elizabeth where we've got two areas in a community outside of PE. one community, everybody's educated, everybody's working, everybody's in a business. Literally a road away, nobody's working, nobody's educated, nobody's doing business. How is that possible? That a street separates two communities. One community, you're expected to work, you're expected to go to school, you're expected to go and study afterwards, you're expected to start a business. Literally 50 meters away, there are no opportunities, there are no jobs, government is terrible, life is terrible. I mean, the mindset is so powerful.
It's true, and you see those examples so often. What would you say, or what happens when that mindset shifts? I've seen it happen in class as well before, but how do you actually, what would you say is the key ingredient to having someone shift out of a poverty mindset?
Yeah, so we went and we've really looked at this extensively and said, well, what's the secret sauce? You know, what's the theory of change? What's the one thing that changes in a person where their mindset is shifted? And the one thing is hope. Where so much hopelessness has been spoken into people's lives that when they look up and they realize, hang on, I've got people telling me I'm able, they're equipping me with the skills to be able to do it, and they're telling me that there are opportunities for me. They're telling me I can be a businessman or a businesswoman, and they're telling me how to do it. And I think now that there's a bit of a track record, we've been going for many years, so they are able to look at other people that have been through some of our programs and say, but hey, these are people that have been unemployed for 4 years, 5 years of sitting at home. They come through the program. It's not like we help them to get a job. Something just shifts. We shift the way they think. 2 weeks later, they're working.
I think connecting those dots, what Work for Living does so well practically is connecting the employer to the employee. But there's something that shifts in the classes, and I think it's from making people question their current worldview, or giving them options to say, okay, this is what you believed in the past, or this is what you were told in the past about your community, about your culture, about your abilities. And if you can give them another option to think about, that change seems to happen. What do you think?
Well, definitely. So one of the things, or the tricks of the trade that we really feel that the Lord has given us, or a tool that He's given us to be able to help people out of poverty, is we actually mirror their reality. So we hold their reality to them and we say, okay, here is your reality. This is what it looks like right now for you. This is what it could look like. And when we mirror the reality to them, the people don't like it. We say, but why are we doing this? For the first time, they're not just accepting as gospel truth that there's nothing for them. They're actually questioning their present reality. And we've got lots and lots of role plays, stories that we tell that gets them to a place where they're actually able to say, okay, but hang on, why am I poor? Why am I struggling? If it's not what everybody says, maybe there's a new reality, and we try and present a new reality to them. And I'd say easily 60 to 80% of our students adopt a new reality, adopt a new way of thinking. And we found that, I mean, we've had 28,000 people through our program, and we're finding that between 60 and 80% of them afterwards go and do something. Before, they were doing nothing for no reason.
It all connects to the word you used in the beginning of hope, which is also an internal thing that needs to happen rather than an external thing.
Yes.
It really has been amazing to see someone realize that they can have hope, and there is hope for them to break out of poverty, even if it's a little step at a time, which is finding a job. Okay, so we've spoken a lot about the poverty mindset. What happens with that change of worldview? I think those two work together. So that's a shift out of this poverty mindset, but then there's also, as time goes by and they start getting a job, start maybe showing that this money they can bring home and start contributing to the household, which starts influencing the people around them. How does that shift of worldview change them?
Well, I think they start looking externally. As I said earlier, they start looking beyond themselves. They start the young guys start seeing themselves as providers. The moms start seeing and saying, I mean, it's so beautiful when we see women come back to our center after we've done, for example, financial literacy, and say, you know, I sat down with my children last night and told them we're going to be doing things differently. We're going to become a family that saves. We're going to become a family that invests our money. Let me explain interest to you. Let me explain a budget. We're going to set up a budget. So I think it's empowering in the true sense of the word, that it lets people realize that they have control. So from a place of no control before, where there's no control, I've got no control because poverty is done to me, I don't have any control, to a place of I have control. I have control over my future. I am able to send my children to university, but I'm a 23-year-old with 2 children. If I don't start planning now, I will not be able to send my children to university, as opposed to the people coming at 45 or 40 years, perhaps not 45, 35, 40, saying, oh, well, I can't send my children to university, and it's unfair. It's not unfair. You've got to plan. It's the way life is in any nation, in any country. We've got to plan. We've got to be excellent at what we do, and we've got to take responsibility from our families. Unfortunately, there's so much dependency around. We see it during COVID-19. It's probably the thing that has broken my heart so much, to see that as a nation, we are dependent, so dependent as a people, that we are not even able to feed our families without being supported. And I really believe that needs to change.
And I think as well, when you're stuck in a poverty mindset, you slip into this entitlement zone. And that entitlement thing kind of really restricts people, and it slows them down and removes any chance of them being able to then step up and take initiative. I've seen that spirit of entitlement really suffocate people almost, if that's a word to use.
Definitely. I mean, one of the stories we tell, and it's not a popular story at all, it's not a popular concept in our country, but the truth of the matter is, how is it in our country that we have so many foreigners coming across our borders, right, with nothing with them but the clothes on their back, and they're looking at our nation and they're phoning their family and saying, guys, this is the land of milk and honey. This is the land of opportunity. How is it that they see it as the land of opportunity and they start businesses like this? They start with nothing, despite the false belief that they're prepared to work for nothing. It's not the truth. And us as people in South Africa, we see this is the land of hopelessness and no opportunity. So it just shows when you've got somebody, when the buck stops with you, like with the foreigners, and I really believe we should be learning from the foreigners, not persecuting them. But when you realize that the buck stops with you, and you've got your family will not eat if you do not feed them, and there's no government that's going to bail you out, and there's no one to blame, you have to work. The truth of the matter is, we have to work. We do not have the luxury of sitting at home doing nothing. You have to work. And it means, if it means you've got to plant a garden in your, I mean, we've just finished a little online program. Well, we had 608 students join us around the country with an online business program, and really heavily focusing on changing mindset, changing the way people do things, changing their worldview, and to see the end result, to see people planting gardens, to see vegetable gardens, to see people planting macadamia trees all of a sudden in the Transkei, people getting chickens and raising chickens, and all that happened, no one gave them money. All that happened is they changed the way that they looked at the world. Their worldview changed. And that entitlement, just like that, entitlement perpetuates dependency. And it's not a popular word, but if we can break entitlement, we break dependency, and we give people an internal sense of responsibility that they can and have to work.
I completely agree. And you know, with this lockdown that we've had, all the Work for a Living centers, I think there's more than 35 centers around the country now have had to shut down. And even watching how you have pivoted and changed in that moment, and maybe you can elaborate a bit more on that, because the centers have been closed and there's probably going to be less jobs available in the next couple of months, you've shifted it into a business mindset. And teaching people how to now make opportunities around them with the things that they have.
Yeah, correct. So obviously what happened with lockdown is overnight our centers closed, and not just in South Africa, we've got centers across Africa, and overnight, literally all of them closed. And of course, then we started seeing the long queues for food, and I think my heart just constricted and broke again, you know, like it did 13 years ago for our people who just dependent. And I realized afterwards, you know, we may, as you said correctly, there may or may not be jobs. We don't know what it's going to look like. So we mobilized our facilitators. We took our business program, which is a simple how to make money today program. Over a period of a month, we put it into these small WhatsAppable slides. We divided, we started using our social media outlets and started marketing and telling the students, you have to start businesses, and you know, what are you going to do afterwards? And we ended up having about 600 students register. We had 50 odd groups. I think we had about 30 or 40 facilitators involved. We had a lot of data issues and connectivity issues, but we just absolutely delighted. We had 387 students finish the whole program, keeping in mind that previously we could hardly get people to start businesses. And to see the businesses that have started, to see people using what they have, to see people using their stoves and their sewing machines and their gardens, and it's just been the most incredible concept, the most incredible experience. And I think we really built very heavily. Every day we would send people a business principle and a worldview principle. And, you know, I think it just emphasizes, unless your worldview changes, you know, we're not prepared to work. We're not prepared to help people with business. We're not prepared to help people in jobs unless we have got the opportunity to challenge their worldview and make them think about their own personal future. It's across borders. This mindset, this poverty mindset, it's across borders. I mean, as I said to you, we've been going in a couple of countries with this business program. I mean, it's been an incredible thing. It's being translated now into Chichewa for Malawi. So we're busy. It's already translated into Spanish. So they ran it in Spanish in Mexico. We're busy in Portuguese for Mozambique, and it's almost as if there's such a hunger, not for business, because there are lots of business programs about, but it's the truth of a development mindset. You know, as believers, you know, God is a God of development and about growth and expansion and planting the seed and letting the seed grow into something beautiful. And I think there's a real hunger, and again, coming back to hope, really getting people to a place where they believe that they can actually do something with their lives. People are desperate for that.
No, that's beautiful. And then a random question that sort of links to Work for a Living, as well as the poverty mindset. In general, in society, do you think that people are actually trying their best each day?
I think if you look at the world certainly knows love, because no matter who you are, no matter what your worldview is, you can love people. The world knows faith, because people have got faith in all sorts of things. You can have faith in God, but you can also have faith in nature. But the hope, I don't believe that people are waking up and doing their best because they don't have hope for the future. And if you don't have hope for the future, well, what's the point? I'm just going to get paid so that I can have some fun with my mates, or I can go and maybe travel a little bit, but there's no purpose. And I think because of the lack of hope, or because of the lack of purpose, I don't know which one comes first. When you don't have purpose in life, well, what's the point? What's the point? Just go to a miserable job, get paid a salary that I don't think is enough, life can be a bit hopeless, and if we don't understand and live a life of purpose, then I don't know what, besides money, what motivation is there really to do your best? And if that's your drive, money will never be enough. You'll never have enough.
No, it's interesting. Hey, I like to think that everyone is waking up and trying their best. But I think it's going to take more and more conversation and more of people to step out there and show that they are loving their neighbor, and that if you try your best, you can move forward in life. Ina, it's been awesome chatting to you.
Great.
We're gonna wrap it up now. But yeah, thanks for chatting with me. It's always been great working with you, and please continue what you're doing. It really is an inspiration to keep going forward, and I hope we can have many more conversations.
Great, thanks Ryan, appreciate it.
Thanks Ina. Cheers.
Okay, bye-bye.